Just moments ago, Canada's Senate voted in favor of expanding access to medically assisted dying here in this country for even more Canadians. Now, it's a decision, a vote that has many in the disabled community up in arms this evening. But first, we begin with one woman who's hoping that the vote will now pass through the House of Commons, so she'll have the right to choose a doctor-assisted death.
It's one of the most painful conditions that a human being can have. I have been at a pain level that hasn't been livable.
Cheryl Romer has been living with a rare spinal and autoimmune condition since October 2017. The 44-year-old mother says she's exhausted all treatment options available. After giving it extensive thought, she applied to move forward with a medically assisted death in June of 2019. However, under the current law, she doesn't meet the criteria to be accepted.
I requested MAID with the support of my family and was denied because I didn't have reasonable foreseeable natural death. And at that point, when I was denied, I felt I was abandoned.
Presently, Canada's current medically assisted dying law, also known as MAID, states that death must be reasonably foreseeable for someone to qualify. The same year, Cheryl was denied access to MAID in Alberta, Quebec's disability community, won a Superior Court ruling stating that such criteria infringed on their rights. The federal government is now on the clock and has until February 26 to update the law across the country. If passed, someone like Cheryl, whose death isn't reasonably foreseeable, could choose to move forward with a doctor-assisted death.
It's finally having control over my body in a way that I haven't had in the last 3 years.
The Senate have been studying the proposed changes outlined in Bill C-7 for weeks now and have made 5 amendments that further open up MAID as an option for even more Canadians. The Senate have voted to allow people with a cognitive impairment like early onset Alzheimer's to make an advance request to end their lives. Senator Pamela Wallin, who proposed the amendment, spoke one-on-one with CityNews today.
This amendment is really designed to get rid of the catch-22 that excludes this very important group of people from being able to ask in advance that MAID be a possibility for them when they reach a state where they no longer recognize their family or able to feed or care for themselves in any way.
Though the leader of the opposition in the Senate today had this to say during his emotional 45-minute speech.
We are not gently sliding down a slippery slope. As international experts have warned, we are in a freefall.
The proposed changes to the law would also open up MAID as an option to people with severe disabilities. And there's many advocates in that community who believe we shouldn't even be discussing the removal of MAID restrictions until proper supports are put in place.
When we have a society that doesn't fund therapy or medication, how can we then offer MAID to people whose illnesses have suicidality as a symptom?
If these amendments, if Bill C-7 passes through the House of Commons, will there be a charter challenge?
Absolutely. Canadians across this country who are disabled have expressed outrage, and there's no way in hell we're just going to let this pass.
Polarizing, powerful opinions on both sides of the argument tonight. Now that it's passed through the Senate, Bill C-7 and the amendments will be voted in the House of Commons next week. Now, as we mentioned, they have a deadline to get a deal done. We'll be bringing you the latest on this developing national story in the days ahead.